All right, so I just got home from the meeting, got a couple of things done. I just wanted to let you know I listened to the audio. I did say something at the meeting, and I don't think the mic was on, so it didn't really get the audio boom that I wanted for the video. But pretty much I'm gonna try to get it so I can hone in on that a little bit and raise the elevation of the audio. But pretty much all they said was, that there's like a changing tide, pretty much. Like the borders are changing of the tide when it comes to things that disrupt our school district. Like they're the ones that are going to be capable of helping to correct the things that are happening that are distressing our district. So there's a new board president and there's a new vice president, and I wanted to, it's kind of cool because I just found out that a new board president was going to be being instated, and I was able to make the meeting today because I haven't been able to make meetings in a while. So this is why meetings being taped are important. And just in a couple of months we're going to be voting on the budget and the Board of Ed candidates. So let's get in gear and start watching these finance meetings that are taped. But if you can get to regular board meetings to see what's going on, all the more to be informed, right? All right, well, enjoy. Hopefully I can get the audio to be a little bit better than what it was. All right, have a great night, and only the best to the new president and the vice president. Okay, so I'm just leaving the board meeting. Haven't been to one in like months and months and months. Had to come today. Oh my goodness, was it crazy? Oh look, this is the shirt I was talking about. All my 70s and 80s kids know. Look there. So anyway, definitely worth coming to. All right, so check out the video. Brand new president and vice president. You too. Do you need me to get the door for you? Let me get the door.
I got it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. It's good to see you.
Freaking winter's back.
I know. You're not kidding. I know, it's cold today. Yesterday, what was it, 70 something? All right. Anyway, yeah. Watch the video. New president and vice president. So excited. Yeah, it was a good meeting. I'm glad I came. See you guys later.
Minisink Valley Board of Education meeting of March 12th, 2026. We do have a quorum. If you could please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the approval of minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, on recommendation from the superintendent, approves the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of February 25th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Patty Reynolds. Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. Next up, we have welcome to the visitors. Sign-ups. Miss Amada Marte, you can come on up.
I don't have nothing right now.
Okay. You don't want to speak?
No. I thought you were going to present first, then the questions.
Oh, no. This is open to the visitors or to speak now. You have 4 minutes to speak if you'd like to speak.
Okay. I understand.
You're not
Thank
speaking?
you. Thank you.
Okay. Lisa Walsh. Just remember, you have 4 minutes.
All right. 2017, the board proposed a $36.9 million capital improvement project that was proposed by the building board. This capital improvement project included a $10.1 million high school cafeteria project 7% of the total budget. It included not only new indoor-outdoor cafeteria, but also renovation of the existing cafeteria, so the district to bring programs in-house and stop paying those tuition, thereby providing a cost savings to the district taxpayers. 2019, the district put forward a budget that had a nearly 8% tax levy, particularly conservative. Following years of negative tax levy and claims the district being financially lost. The budget that eventually passed resulted in the loss of over 55 positions, and shortly thereafter, the district assistant superintendent for business resigned when public concerns with financial improprieties, and a consultant was hired to review the district's finances and financial practices. December 2024, I sent an email to Mr. Monahan and each member of the board asking that the capital improvement project update be placed on the board meeting agenda. And I also spoke at a board meeting requesting that update. Mr. Monahan responded and copied to the members of the board that I would be informed when that topic was placed on the board meeting agenda. The information requested was simple. What amount of money has been spent to date, how much remains, and is it enough to complete all the projects, as well as the status, not started, in progress, or complete of each project in the 2017 proposal. To date, over 1 year later, the board has refused to put this matter on an agenda and has remained silent on the overall status of the capital improvement project. Yet on March 4th, the district website posted an article declaring the project nearly complete. And how can it be nearly complete when a project representing more than a quarter of the budget hasn't even broken ground? On that same day, the district announced the seemingly sudden, abrupt, and unexplained resignation of the board president after 15 years of loyal service, but only 7 months into his 3-year term. Coincidental or related? On February 25th, the board approved a $91,000 proposal for architectural and engineering services for a 5-year building plan to be voted on in an October referendum. This plan will likely require even more money from our district residents, but the financial reality our district is facing is changing. In 2017, 25% of students were categorized as economically disadvantaged. That number has risen, and as of last year, sits at 32%. Last year, Minisik's graduation rate was 98% for non-economically disadvantaged students, while 85% for our economically disadvantaged students. The dropout rate for non-economically disadvantaged students last year, 0%. 6% for economically disadvantaged, and 33% for our homeless students. Our district is becoming poorer and proposing a project that will significantly raise taxes on residents who are less able each year to shoulder that burden is irresponsible. Also on February 25th, the board approved the raise for district nurses for the remainder of the school year, the cost of which has not been provided to the public. And there is also the recent purchase of a fleet plow, again at an undisclosed cost. None of those expenses appear as line items on the 2025-2026 budget that was voter approved. And the logical conclusion is that behind closed doors, the board reallocated budgeted funds without transparency and without disclosing to the public that it chose to not adhere to the budget as presented. There are many financial questions that the board and the cabinet hold answers to, and those answers should be shared with the public. The financial status of the capital improvement project and the status of each project within it. The total amount of funds that have been reallocated and from where those funds were taken. Continued silence invites speculation. Continued secrecy creates mistrust. And personally, it leaves me wondering whether the board and the cabinet members are acting as co-workers, co-conspirators, or co-defendants.
Thank you. Ms. Koenig? Just a reminder.
Alright, so honestly, it's great to be here and see all of you guys again. It's been a while that I've wanted to come here, but with schedules and whatnot, it gets difficult. But when I'm called to do something like this, it's been on my mind for a long time. I was like, where did I was supposed to get there? Nobody here. I was in Middletown until 5:30. I got somewhere we didn't get my kids where they had to get eat. And I was like, all right, I got some time to be here. So I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go, but maybe it's just some encouragement that you guys need. I love analogies, and I have this running through my head, like the tide and the sand that is with it. And every so often, you have things that happen to the sand, the tide takes care of the sand. And you can have trauma, you can have injuries, you can have distress that happens, you have kids that dig big holes in there. But every day, twice a day, the tide goes in and it comes out, and it washes things away. Okay, and you guys, every single one of you here on the board is that tide. You come from different walks of life, you come from different belief aspects and all that, but you all come together to be that tide that's going to wash away. Some things are deep, and it's going to take resilience, it's going to take determination, it's going to take you guys clocking in every week. Not that you don't, I know you do. But you guys are going to be the change that needs to happen here to make sure that this district and all of its stakeholders have sand that is washed out. And pretty much like I was saying, like I'm wearing a shirt that says all my 80s babies, 70s babies, you understand? It says each one of us is a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Okay, let's just say a person who has to make better decisions, right? But it's, when you watch that movie, The Breakfast Club, you were rooting for that at the end. All right, you rooted for Claire and Deborah to get together, and you wanted to see what was going to happen next. That's you guys, right? You know? So, again, I'm just here for encouragement. Things are going to happen. They do. But you guys are the ones that are going to watch it. All right? Gotta get through that. So, they're not here to do that. They're doubles. I have something to do guys. But it's kind of cool because you guys have to work together to figure out what's going to be a while. It's like a mini retreat, board retreat, in that, you know? So have fun with it, and remember that you'll work together, and each year, there's another year.
The superintendent's report. Mr. Monaco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Monaco. Well, we have a special night tonight. We are very excited because we are joined here by our high school musical crew, and they are led by an incredible person who is not going to be happy because I'm going to praise her a little bit more, and she's not aware this is going to happen. But I wanted to share with everybody that Mrs. Hull ended up receiving a wonderful honor in being the Sullivan Middle School All-County Guest Conductor. So a round of applause for Mrs. Hull. Incredibly busy schedule, especially we know with the drama program and the musical program and what's coming up in the next couple of weeks and the flurry of activity that is taking place in the high school right now. We are so excited that you were able to get a little bit of time here, Mrs. Hull, to spend it with us and share these incredible kids with us and the work that they've been doing. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mrs. Hull. Where would you like us, Mrs. Hull?
I'm going to talk to you first. Give me a second.
You want that one or this one? Whichever one you want.
Okay, while the kids get set up, I'm just going to give you a little heads up and background on what actually is going on at the high school, like Mr. Monahan alluded to. So first, it truly takes a village to put together anything magnificent, and Spamalot is nothing short of magnificent. I might get emotional because my dreams came true today. Okay, so first, Teresa Parker and I kind of started this conversation with Mr. Renato back in June. We talked about the sound system at the high school that has been a continuous struggle, and I'm here to talk about the beautiful digital soundboard that is now at the high school, and that it gives us the ability to run sound actually from inside the auditorium using a separate console, which is really cool because you're able to make adjustments in the location that the people are hearing it. We also have an easier time controlling feedback, as well as just the overall sound quality is much better. So that is a really awesome upgrade. We also installed the cyclorama curtain today. The cyclorama is a white muslin curtain. It spans the entire stage, which is 40 feet long and then 40 feet high. It gives us the ability to make a background any color we want. It could be solid green, it could be an ombre, it could be the French flag like we needed in Spamalot at one point in time. But so that curtain is now installed and is at the high school permanently. With that, I've been working with Peter Ireland, who is an amazing contact through Cornwall. He runs the tech stuff there, and he has been gracious to help us here in Minisink, and he was able to get us a quote for $0 for six 6-foot cyclorama lights. running across the back of the stage in front of this cyclorama, which were all installed today. It's cool, I have pictures. So there's a picture of them in the cases, and then a couple pictures backstage that you can just take a peek at and pass down. But so those were installed today. We are renting them for $0, but in the hopes to try them out, practice them with our system, and then purchase them eventually, which Peter has also said that he would help us kind of work out that 5-year plan. Did I give you my papers here? Okay. I also want to say that Peter helped me. So there is with renting or with getting a license for a show, they give you production materials. And with this particular production, they gave me it includes a video of God, and there's a whole scene that happens with God and King Arthur. And we actually are able to project that, and it's of Eric Idle, who is an original member of Monty Python. So that happened today. We mounted a projector on the high school stage in the rafters and are able to project on this cyclorama curtain. So this is a really great upgrade, not only for the drama club, but for future events that happen at the high school. So this is not beneficial for just us, but the entire school community, which is amazing. So with that, I have an amazing team of people that I work with. So I have Daniela Estrada here with me, our vocal director, pit conductor Andrew Hall, our stage director Teresa Parker. Ian Sholmes is with us up in the tech booth. This is his first year in Minisink, his first year. I signed him up for this, and he's been awesome. Of course, my mom, Patty Martellero, and Lindsay Vitti have still stuck with me for costuming. We had the help of Chris Tuthill in our set construction, and then of course, my awesome concession stand organizer moms who are graduating with their senior this year and are leaving me, but it's very upsetting. But Sean Denberg and Kara McGinnis. Also, I would be remiss if I did not congratulate and thank our awesome student leaders. So our choreographers are Heather Day and Gianna Pecorella, and our lead set construction has been Logan Hughes. So it takes a village. The Minisink Valley has the best village. And I'm gonna give you a moment, because without further ado, we have prepared 3 numbers for you. We're gonna do a little scene before Knights of the Round Table. We're gonna do Find Your Grail, and then end with Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. So I'll give you a second to relocate, and we will turn it over to our kids. Thank you so much for having us and for supporting the Drama Club.
We're going to move on, and next we have approval of a legal notice. Being resolved that the Board of Education, on recommendation of the superintendent, directs the district clerk to give notice to the qualified voters of the school district the annual school district public hearing on budget and annual school district election and budget vote. And be it further resolved that the board authorizes district clerk to amend the notice of the annual school district public hearing and annual school district election and budget vote from time to time as in her discretion. Such amendment may be required. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second, Valerie.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I know this is with a heavy heart, but we have to do it. Motion to accept the resignation of William Cooper from the offices of Board President and as a member of the Board of Education of the Minisink Valley Central School District effective March 4th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Kathy DeRose.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just like to say, I want to thank Mr. Cooper for nearly 16 years of incredible service to this district. He served 13 years as a vice president and served most of this year as president. And it has been an honor and a pleasure to have been with him for a number of those years. He has been a consummate professional and someone who has always gone above and beyond, and probably one of the greatest cheerleaders of Minisink Valley in our history here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Now we will move on to nomination, election of officers, and oath of office for president with Ms. Molnar.
Thank you. First, we're going to open president nominations. Is there a motion to open nominations for board president?
So moved. Second.
second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, nominations?
I'd like to nominate Anthony Monaco for president.
Mr. Monaco has been nominated. Is there any other nominations? Okay, can I get a motion to close nominations for board president?
So moved. Second.
You're fine. Good job. Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Motion to appoint Anthony Monaco to Board of Education President. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second, Kathy DeRose.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Kathy.
I know. I was watching them do the thing in the other one.
I need you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Anthony Monaco,
I, Anthony Monaco,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of President of the Board of Education,
of President of the Board of Education,
term expiring June 30th, 2026,
term expiring June 30th, 2026,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
And I'm going to turn the meeting back over to you, Mr. Monaco.
Thank you, Ms. Mulner.
Yep.
I don't have to close it, you already closed it, right?
I already closed it, so you're going to do open one.
Is there a motion to open up nominations for vice president?
So moved, Kathy DeRose.
Second, Vanessa White.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries.
I nominate Bruce Lewis for vice president. That was my line, right? That's
I didn't say that, but yes, you did.
I'd like to nominate Bruce Lewis for vice president.
Any other nominations? Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Is there a nomination for vice president?
We just
Oh, we
did
did,
that.
I'm sorry, we did that.
You need a motion to appoint.
I need a motion to appoint, wrong one.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Patty.
I studied.
Second, if you don't have one.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Congratulations, Bruce.
Stand by.
Who was the first and second for that? Sorry.
Patty. There's like 50 things going on over here.
Ms. Lewis, congratulations. Thank you. Make sure you get my good side.
I will take care of it for you now.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ruth Lewis. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Congratulations,
Oh,
Anthony
Camilla.
and Ruth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, everybody. Next up, we have Human Resources section with Mr. Giudiano.
Thank you, Mr. Monaco. We have a motion to approve the resignations, amendments, and appointments as listed.
So moved, Patty Reynolds. Second, Vanessa White.
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Please. And now we're going to, thank you, Mr. Giudiana. Now we'll move on to curriculum and instruction with Mr. Renato.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Monaco. I have a very brief presentation tonight, so I know we start talking.
Turn over, around, or we're good here?
No, you're good, because I did give the board, the board members each have a copy, a hard copy of the presentation. As I said, I do have a very brief presentation tonight, because I know as soon as you start talking data, people's eyes start to glaze over. But this is a good opportunity tonight to just take a few seconds just to discuss a little bit of data, because it's a moment to really celebrate where we are as a district and as with our schools, because we have a lot to be proud about, particularly as it relates to what's happening in our classrooms. And again, the data that you're going to see here in a moment is going to illustrate some of that. So in the last month, we did have, New York State did release the final determinations, the accountability determinations, and the board has heard me talk a little bit in the past periodically about accountability. And essentially, there's a couple different layers to accountability, but there's lots of state aid that we receive from New York State, but there's also federal funding that we receive, and that along with those funds come the strings of school districts needing to maintain a certain level of standard in terms of where students are with proficiency and growth and so on and so forth. And so what I'm talking about tonight is really where do we stand as it relates to those accountability missions and in terms of preparing our students for proficiency and growth, as I mentioned before. So why is accountability important? So I'm not going to read the slide, but you do see that the idea here is that we are looking at essentially what's happening in our classrooms, what's happening with various components of student data, and it's really a way for us to measure and compare ourselves to similar school districts across New York State, schools within our own district, and essentially comparing consistent statewide standards and the expectations, and really benchmarks. Are we hitting the standards that we need to be? And so, essentially, as I said, there's a couple different things that happen here when we start to talk about accountability. And really, we're looking at multiple measures, and within multiple measures, really what we're talking about is assessment data, particularly as it relates to the federal government, our math and ELA scores, essentially from grades 3 through 11, our graduation rate, and our attendance data. All of this data is tracked over time, student growth is measured, student proficiency is measured, and we use all that data to inform instruction, which is kind of a fancy way of saying we look at data and we make decisions about the instruction that's happening in classrooms, where are the areas to improve, and where are the areas that we're doing well. The state then uses this data, and they have developed what they're calling a continuum of supports, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a second. Sorry, I forgot it's double-sided here. But the various support models you see here, again, there's two different levels of accountability. There's accountability that's measured over a 3-year period. You see that on the left side of the slide. On the right side of the slide, you can see the various levels of accountability that's identified annually. And the next slide, I think, is a little bit better picture of what this might look like. So the pyramid that you see here essentially represents various levels of accountability. The bottom of the pyramid, LSI, represents local support and instruction, support and improvement, which is essentially the lowest level of accountability. So schools in LSI, essentially what the state is telling us is that if you are an LSI, you are the top tier across the state. You are meeting all of the requirements. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. And back in the day, they used to call this schools in good standing. At some point in time, the state decided they didn't want to call it schools in good standing anymore because it gave the impression that if you're a school in good standing, you don't need to work any harder to make any improvements. So they changed the terminology because the idea is that they're looking for schools to continually to strive towards improvement in the classroom. So that's why that's that local support and instruction. So if you follow that pyramid all the way up, as you reach those smaller parts of the pyramid and the top of the pyramid, you don't want to be a school that's considered receivership, because essentially what that means is the state has sent folks in and they've really taken over the schools in an effort to make sure that there is very strong foundational support for any of the changes that they may want to see. So if you look at the two different categories they have for where they're putting schools, they essentially block in middle schools along with our elementary schools. Okay, so if you look at the next slide that we have here, Otisville Elementary, Minisink Elementary, Minisink Intermediate, and the Minisink Middle School, you see that all four of those schools have been identified as LSI. So these schools are all doing very well. Additionally, the high school is also considered a school that's an LSI school. So all five of the schools within the district are meeting all of the requirements as it relates to any kind of proficiencies and any kind of growth that the school's expecting to see. So within this data, they do break down all of the student groups into various subgroups of students so that we can start to look at, as we heard a speaker talk before, about students who might be considered economically disadvantaged, students with disabilities, and so on and so forth. And so within each of those various subgroups, the next slide is important because it shows that not only on an all student level are our schools right where they need to be, but within those all student subgroups, within the subgroups within that, each of those subgroups is also considered an LSI, which is also very important because it means that our special ed folks, our ELL teachers, all of those folks are doing a fine job with our students and getting them right where they need to be. So that's pretty important. When you look at the same data for the high school, you'll notice that the same thing is true for the high school. Right across the board, for each and every subgroup of students, subgroup of category of students that you see, each one of those categories is also considered LSI as well. Okay, so finally, putting this all together, the idea is, again, although we are considered LSI across the board for all of our schools and for all of our categories of students, the idea is that we're still within the buildings, within the grade levels, within departments, they're still breaking down that data. They're still trying to find ways to improve student performance. They're still finding ways to develop curriculum even further and develop instructional strategies even further to make sure that we are providing as much opportunity for our students as is possible. The last slide, again, this slide deck that I have for you here was originally like a 49 or 50 slide deck presentation from New York State, within which had lots of information, but had support models for each of those various groups that you saw within that period that I had before. Each of those areas, there was all kinds of different levels of support that schools may be able to provide in order to continue to have improvement. And for LSI, as you see, it's not a lot. They're really, again, they're essentially saying continuing to look at the data, breaking down the test scores and the individual performances on those assessments, using it, as I said before, to inform instruction. Okay, the last slide basically just has some information. It's got some QR codes that for folks who are interested in getting more information from New York State as it relates to accountability, resources, and so on and so forth, as you can see there. If someone's interested, they can go on those sites and get more information. So that is it.
Thank you, Mr. Renato. We will now move on to the pupil personnel section. Mr.
We
Finn.
can't ask questions?
Oh, okay. Of course.
Sorry, Anthony.
That's all right.
I'm just curious, the subgroups, does that come from like the registrar's office? I'm just curious where we gather the subgroup pools.
Correct. So when all the determinations about the various student categories, subgroups does come from student registration, that comes directly from parents and how they are defining that for their students when they register them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, you can go on.
I'm sorry.
And-
Mr. Cahill.
And so the data that's collected here is state tests and attendance records.
So for assessment data, it's primarily 3 through 8 math, ELA, science assessments. And then in the high schools, our Regents exams, math and ELA assessments. It's graduation rate and it's attendance data.
Okay.
But none of the APPR? Is it
No,
AP?
no, there's nothing related to staff evaluations that's
Okay.
considered as a part of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one more. The background, I know we were at LSI for all of the weighted. What about the individual categories? Did we get that data as well?
We did get that, and we are in good shape for everything across the board, yeah?
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Renato, and we're going to move on to Mr. Fitton, the pupil personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Monaco.
Welcome.
Good evening. Please refer to the executive summary on board docs. Committee on Preschool Special Education met on one day in February and one day in March. 9 students were reviewed. I ask for a motion to approve the arrangements and recommended placements by the Committee on Preschool Special Education as presented.
So moved, Sean Cahill.
Second, Kathy Gerard.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
The Committee on Special Education met on 10 days in February and 3 days in March. 78 students were reviewed. I ask for a motion to approve the arrangements and the recommended placements by the Committee on Special Education as presented.
So moved. Second, Sean Cahill.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Fitton. We will now move on to the business section of the meeting with Mr. Witherow.
Thank you, Mr. Monaco. First item we have is acceptance of the budget transfer report. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, acknowledges receipt of the budget transfer report for the month of February 2026.
So moved, Patty Reynolds. Second, Ruth Lewis.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Next item we have is approval of warrants. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, accepts the claims auditor's report for the following warrants as attached.
So moved, Ruth Lewis. Second, Patty Reynolds.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Next item we have is acceptance of emergency declaration for replacement of the bus garage boiler. I'm going to spare you from reading that. It's quite extensive, but basically, the boiler, the bus garage is down and out. It's a health hazard right now. There's carbon monoxide being emitted into the interior of the building. Needs to be replaced. We have temporary electric heating in place. This will declare an emergency, which will allow us to make repairs quickly. It also includes a declaration of the secret, type 2 negative declaration listed in that. So basically, this gives us all the legal authority that we have to then go to SED and work to get an emergency project put through so we get this replaced quickly.
So moved, Ruth Lewis. Second, Mallory Roman.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Monaco.
Thank you, Mr. Witherow. We will now move on to the report section, and up first is going to be the committee report with Ms. Reynolds, Finance Committee.
So we had our finance committee meeting earlier, and
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. We will now move on to Athletics Committee meeting report with Ms. Lewis.
So we held our spring athletics committee meeting on March 9th. There's a PowerPoint presentation which will be circulated with the board report, but in short, just a little bit about that is 9 sports programs with 24 coaches, 14 who were district staff, 10 were community members, for a total of 16 teams with 390 student athletes. We talked about spring sports tryouts. JV and varsity started this week, March 9th. Modified will start the week of March 16th. All of our coaching positions are fully staffed as of tonight's meeting. We reviewed team development. Players are picked for participation based on rubrics developed by the coaches and the AD. The final determination on players is made by the coach. And if there is ever a need for a removal of a player from the team, parent contact must be made prior to removal of a player. Parents need to be involved, because if there's an issue, they need to try to involve the parents to solve the issue. And the AD participates in that contact with the coach. We reviewed the hiring process. Vacancies and positions are posted in building administrative offices. A suggestion was made to email the coaching vacancy announcements to all district staff. If they don't want it, they can delete it, but you never know who you might contact or plan to contact. Interviews are conducted by a committee and the athletic director. References are done by the athletic director. HR conducts the finalization of the reference checks and background investigations. We reviewed the parent code of conduct, which is something new that's going to be implemented. It will be uploaded to Arbiter, for parents will review it at sign up of their child, and there's an electronic signature that goes with that. There was concern that we did a copy with a signature, but the electronic signature will suffice that the parent has reviewed it and is in agreement with what's included in there. Parents and volunteers, coaches make the decisions. Any volunteer parents must undergo the same training as all other coaching staff and receive certifications to the DASA and all the trainings that are required, CPR and AED, first aid. There was some discussion regarding the implementation of a student code of conduct, but it was felt that it could become overkill and would just turn off students. They wouldn't pay attention. The high school students participate in various trainings and instruction during phys ed class with regard to appropriate behavior and DASA, bullying, all that during their phys ed in the first week of school. Middle school actually has an assembly with their administrator and the AD, so that the middle school students understand what is expected of them as players. The AD is going to review the high school process and maybe add an assembly for those high school students to reinforce expected behavior and what the consequences of inappropriate behavior would be. The disciplinary actions, if they're necessary, follow the student code of conduct as per the athletic director. We reviewed policies, comprehensive attendance, extracurricular activities in sports and athletic programs. They've all been reviewed within the last 3 years, so they are up to date. The last topic we talked about was athletic facilities, because we know that our field
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Good question.
Yes, Sean?
I did have a question on the parent code of conduct.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see the draft. Does it lay out consequences for the parents?
It did lay out consequences, but they were not numbered for like in the number, like if it was a third violation or fourth, because that ties your hands. So it was recommended by our attorney that we just list the consequences and then we determine on what the consequences will be based on what happens.
And I did want to say I liked your idea about having a hard copy. I don't know if the teams do have meetings with the parents. I think that Mr. Cooper had mentioned it at a meeting once before that when he was a coach in high school, that he would have meetings and the parents would be there and they would have a piece of paper, they would agree to it. So I understand that an electronic copy with a signature says yes, but we all know you just click the buttons. But if you have a meeting with the parents and you hand it to them and say, you signed this and you have to agree to it, I think that is a good idea.
And I do agree with you. Once a student is selected to participate on a team, I agree with you that that should occur. So we will continue to work on that.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
You're welcome.
We will move on to the high school sound system update discussion with Mr. Monahan.
I'm gonna have Mr. Renato walk us through that.
Mr. Renato.
Sure. Okay, so there was, you all heard Mrs. Holt describe at the start of the board meeting some of what has gone on over the course of the last year with the high school auditorium, but there's what looked good, what needs to be improved, what needs to be replaced, was there anything that needed to be reconditioned, so on and so forth. One of the things that came out of that was that we did need to purchase 2 new sound mixing boards that went into the high school auditorium. Again, you heard Mrs. Hull speaking about the second of the 2, but the first one is a board that actually goes into the booth above the auditorium. The second board, which is the one they were really excited about, is a board that actually sits down in the auditorium during the actual production itself, and it allows for the person who's controlling the board to actually hear the sound that's being projected from the stage, and they can make real-time adjustments to the sound that actually controls the boards. They're electronic boards. They're basically 2 big computers. The one in the auditorium controls the one up in the booth. One of the things that we found last year was that because we did not have that soundboard in the auditorium, folks in the auditorium are noticing feedback and or lapses in the microphones being turned on and off because, again, the person in the booth wasn't hearing it in real time as they were sitting down in the auditorium. So we've got those in. The other real nice thing about both of those boards is that it's like cars today. They have so many different features and functions, and you're probably never going to use half of it, but they have a ton of capacity of what you can do with these boards. They are, the gentleman who I'm going to talk about in a second, that Laura talked about earlier, suggested some of this equipment because, for students who continue to pursue performing arts as they move through college and then potentially into careers, this is the same technology that they're going to be utilizing. But one of the really cool things about the board is it allows for the students to actually program the boards by scene. And so for each scene, they can set all those lapel mics up so that the microphones are turned on, and for the students who are involved in the sound, and turned off for the students who maybe don't have a sound role in that particular scene. The other, as I just mentioned, Peter Ireland, who again Laura Holt mentioned before, he's been awesome. He's got a tremendous background in Broadway shows and in performing arts, and has got a real keen eye for what works and what doesn't work. The other thing he's been able to do is, because he's got so many connections, you heard Laura talk a little bit about the light bars that he was able to bring in, the LED light bars, but he's also been able to hook us up with a variety of different vendors who have discounted equipment, who've got access to Broadway level sound and lighting equipment that they're selling at wholesale rates. So it's going to provide us an opportunity as we look to upgrade some of this equipment to get really top-end equipment at a much lower price. Along with that, obviously, is all the expertise that he brings in helping really train folks to where they need to be. The third part of the process has really been the training part. We talked a little bit about this back in the spring and in the fall when some of these issues first came up. But our district AV coordinator, Mike Galibra, has been working with all of the folks who are involved with our music and drama productions. And he did a training for those folks about a month ago that was very well received. Went through, basically did a basic level 3-hour course on how to use all these soundboards. And they were joking around about the fact that he said, you know, we got 3 hours for this course, but it's probably not going to take 3 hours. They ended up being there 3 hours and probably could have stayed longer because they had so many questions and they were so enthralled in what they were doing. I've actually had folks come back to me and say, is it possible that we can set up an intermediate level training and then an advanced level training? We've got a lot of adults who are our advisors who are really interested in getting a better knowledge of how to utilize all this equipment. And I think we are in a much better place. And again, you saw Mrs. Hall's excitement. I was down in the auditorium today as she and Mrs. Parker were preparing some of this equipment, and they were thrilled. I mean, the excitement is really palpable about how really excited they are about the different equipment, the cyclorama, that big screen in the back. So we are in a pretty good place. I think there is still some room for improvement for some of the equipment that's down there, but I think we are light years beyond where we were probably last spring.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Mr. Renato.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Renato. We are going to now move on to the next discussion will be our internal auditor discussion. Mr. Mooney, you want to lead us off?
As you know, each year you have an internal auditor that comes in and offers up areas for review. I had sent out from our internal auditor areas that have been looked at previously and areas that they would recommend. So we're really at the point where you just need to select what you would like to have the internal auditor review. I know there's been a couple of suggestions of Medicare Part B reimbursement payroll. So if everybody would like to just have a quick discussion, feel free and let us know. And Mr. Witherow will take it down and we'll let our internal auditors know and they will begin that process.
Well, I think I was the one who made the proposal on those two areas, and my justification for that was in the payroll department, it hasn't been done since I think 2017-18. We've had tremendous turnover, and it really, I think it's time that we do that in the payroll area. Medicare Part B, on a personal note, in my professional experience, if that's not audited on a regular basis, you run the risk of reimbursing people who are no longer eligible and who may even be deceased and not know that. So to protect taxpayer money, I think we really do need to have an audit of that area as well.
So just two real quick things. I do think we did payroll more recently, because Ms. Samsey's in the audience too. I'm pretty sure when we had some turnover in that position that we looked at payroll, but I could let you know for sure. We certainly could look at it again, the high risk area, that's always.
Yeah, I mean, we're human beings, we make mistakes, and we know that people do not look at their pay statements, and then they
There's
come to
people
you.
who didn't cash a check for a year.
Yes, and then they come to you and say, oh, you didn't pay me for such and such. And yes, it's true that that's on them, but we have to make it right and it has to be accurate. So,
And the Medicare Part B reimbursement, just so, because different districts do it different ways, so I just want to make sure everybody knows how we do it here at Minisink. Some districts reimburse retirees based on their income. So basically, if someone has Medicare Part B, they get a deduction from their Social Security retirement, and that deduction can increase if they have a higher income level. In previous districts that I worked at, we would reimburse people based on what their income level was. So different people had different reimbursement rates based on how much money they were making in retirement. Here at Minisink, we have a flat rate for everybody. So everybody gets $104.90 a month. So it's not based on income. So it just, and basically the requirement be that you're Medicare eligible, you're Medicare primary, and you're carrying the district's insurance as secondary. But we certainly could look at that, but really the way I would look at it, what our risk there is, would be the risk of paying people who are deceased. Because really anybody who has the district's insurance and is Medicare eligible is eligible to be reimbursed for the Medicare piece.
So that 10490, is that negotiated through the bargaining unit, or is that in the governance documents of the health plan?
That's past practice.
Okay, so if it's in a bargaining unit, and when the retiree retires and they have to pay a 25% contribution, then as their Medicare it goes up every year. And I understand we don't do IRMA, so it's just the base. So it goes up every year. That 25% is going to change. They're only responsible for 25% of their health insurance. That's why, and it's a very convoluted and complicated area. That's why I just think that it would be a good idea for the district to have that.
Yeah, we certainly, I mean, they can look at both pieces of that. You know, for us, it is, again, the only people who get reimbursement are people who are actively in the plan.
Of course, right.
I'm 100% in agreement with what Ruth said. I think it's a contractual, because it's healthcare. We pay less for them once they go on Medicare. So I think that is a healthcare expense, and it is spelled out in our bargaining unit contracts. So I think a separate set of eyes could, you know, bring some insight and maybe speaking to our attorneys about that. Yeah.
We'll inform them tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if everybody else is in agreement with you though.
I have no problem with those two focus areas.
Yeah, payroll is a large expense, right? I wouldn't tell you what we average on a weekly basis, but certainly worth looking at.
Okay.
What else? All right, thank you for the information. Next up, we're gonna have the healthcare coverage audit discussion. I know we started talking a little bit about it, but Mr. Monahan or Mr. Witherow? Any questions?
Yeah, I don't know who wanted to discuss this. Basically, you know, in terms of eligibility, you're an employee of the district and you work at least 30 hours a week.
Do we send out like a coordination of benefits each year to make sure that they're not covered by some other insurance, that they have to sign off on the fact that they're not also covered by their husband or?
I don't think contractually there's any restriction on anybody having dual coverage. It's if they participate in our plan, they have to pay.
But if their spouse was also an employee of the district?
So we do have dual exclusion coverage.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about a spouse who's working in another company, they have coverage.
No, I mean like
So for our employees, we do have a dual coverage exclusion. So if you're a married couple, and you take the insurance, not only the other person, you know, obviously is going to be on there as a member if they have a family plan. I would think they would have the option if they both wanted to carry individual plans. They probably could.
I'm also just thinking more about like changes to your family, like children aging out, divorces happening, marriages happening, like that each year, you know, so I'm under a different health insurance plan, obviously, with the state, and we have a coordination of benefits that I have to fill out every year that says, yes, these are still my children, both dates are correct for them, I'm still married, I'm not married, whatever it might be.
So we
just
do
to make sure
have-
everybody's covered who's supposed to be, and we're not covering anybody who's not supposed to be.
Right, so one of the things we're going to do going forward is when we do the annual salary notices to employees, we're gonna put a kind of a checkbox on there, basically saying that if they, on signing the salary agreement, they're basically attesting that all of their circumstances have not changed. They haven't gotten divorced, they haven't, you know, we have all the kids, any dependents, we have all their information. We have them in the database, so we regularly will put notices out when kids are hitting 26 years old and aging out. Our plan allows anybody who turns 26 to continue to the end of the current calendar year, which is turn 26. That's just based on our plan design. So guess it would just be, just ask for some more direction in terms of exactly what you would be interested in,
Well, like you said, if you're including it with their like annual salary announcement and they're attesting to it, just as long as we have metrics in place to make sure that if anything does change, like just that we're keeping up on that, we're following up on that. Interestingly, even at my job, like I am the health benefits coordinator there, and I got an audit letter from NISHIP wanting me to provide the past transaction forms and birth certificates, marriage certificates for people who've been insured for 15 years, but for whatever reason, they're putting a random audit in place. I had to provide those documents, and again, healthcare is another very large expense for us, so I just didn't think it would hurt to maybe take a closer look there.
we certainly could, and we can talk with our consultants too and see if they have any ideas on things that we could do internally to try and kind of ensure the integrity of the structure that we have in
The
place.
third-party administrator probably is familiar with all of this
Right.
and could assist.
Yep, so we can talk about that, but that we were, planning to put on the salary notice basically an attestation that by signing this, you're agreeing that all of your existing, family member structure, all of that remains the same and nothing can change. And basically just informing them that if anything does change, they have a duty to inform. the
Right,
district.
like some sort of, if you check this box and it turns out not to be true, like
Right.
these may be the repercussions.
So we can look into that, definitely.
Any questions?
Patrick, they mentioned, like the aging out. Does our third-party administrator send like a letter out saying you have a child coming of age?
So we have a health benefit specialist that works in the district full-time.
Oh, so we do it, but we do it, so.
We do, we
Okay.
send it out, right?
We
So it
do.
comes from
Okay.
the district, yeah.
Thank you.
And then do we notify the health insurance company to send out COBRA forms?
We do.
Okay.
So but that's one of the things we're talking about, maybe pulling in-house rather than pay for that. That's something that Mary feels that she might be able to.
Yeah, it's not like the thousands
Yeah,
and
it's not,
thousands.
right, it's not that much. And why should we just pay for something that we could do? Because we have a person for that capacity.
Anybody else? Thank you for that information. Now we will move on to the student representative report section with Ms. Day and Ms. Greenberg.
Okay, so just some past events that have happened since the last board meeting. February 26th was the Otisville Elementary School Science Fair. I personally didn't attend, but I had friends who were volunteering with NHS that attended, and they said a lot of kids brought a lot of hands-on projects. They said the kids had a really great time. It was a great way to introduce STEAM to younger children. And they had a presenter come in and who did a hands-on showcase of science, but obviously for elementary school kids. And all of the kids were really fascinated. They had a great time. So it's really great that we have that opportunity. And there are prizes given out, which always adds that extra incentive for students. February 27th through 28th, we had one vocalist, Maddie Tevet, attend the Austin Festival. It's quite a small choir, so it's a pretty big feat, and they sounded great. I personally wasn't able to attend, but I thought it was amazing. Also that weekend was the All Eastern Conference, which was a really great experience. Very cold, but was a really wonderful, being able to work with a lot of high-level directors. It was a really great opportunity that our whole program in the high school offers that. The Otisville drama production of Seussical Kids also happened in the beginning of March. I personally did not attend, but I heard it was a really great performance, although it was postponed due to snow. The cardio group recently opened. A lot of the JV and varsity teams have been practicing in there. It's really great, especially with the crazy weather. It's raining. It's not let's cancel practice. It's let's put you in the cardio room to still get 30 minutes to an hour of practice in before the next team has to come in. So it's better than nothing. And then March 10th was the Music in Our Schools Month concert at the high school. So we actually invite the 5th graders from Otisville, the intermediate school, and the 8th graders from the middle school to come in and sing with us at the concerts. We had a few of them come in for the final number. It was really great. It's really nice, trying to get the kids to, stay in the music program, which is really great in our school, and I'm really glad that we have it. For some upcoming events, Saturday, March 14th is the Project Graduation Tricky Tray. It starts at 5.
18th is the Otisville Elementary School Chorus Concert. And then March 19th is the NHS Senior Dinner. So every year, NHS invites different senior organizations to come have a dinner. We bake stuff for them. We have ziti and garlic bread, and they have dinner, and then they get to watch the show. So that's the Thursday show of Spamalot at 4, I believe. And then Spamalot, as advertised earlier, is the 19th, 20th, and 21st, and we would really appreciate if you guys would show up to support the high school drama program. And then lastly, just as like a follow-up, the senior class has been looking forward to working with you relating to the graduation caps. They've been really excited about it. I've had a bunch of kids come up to me like, oh, how's it going, how's it going? Teachers too, they're all really supportive of it. And we're just really looking forward to working with you guys, so thank you.
I would like to give a big shout out to all of our state champions in athletics from winter sports that have just recently finished up. So Sarah Pauls for girls wrestling, Wyatt Boyce for boys wrestling, Ella Miklich for the high jump and track and field, Max Whitcraft for the 55-meter dash in track and field, and Robert LaBarbera for the 600-meter run in track and field, as well as the boys 4x400 meter relay of Whitcraft, Mendez, Turpak, and LaBarbera. So all of them won state titles, and for track, they're all moving on to nationals, which I believe is this weekend. Last Friday, the 6th, the Sojourner Truth Awards ceremony was held at SUNY Orange. The guest speaker, Yaya Whaley-Williams, one of the Board of Trustees members, gave a great speech. It was a very empowering speech to all of the recipients to motivate them to follow in the footsteps of Sojourner Truth and not be afraid to put themselves out there in any field that they're looking to go into. So we had 26 students between the high school and the middle school honored, as well as 3 students from our building honored through CTEC. And one last thing, so Heather and I have been working in collaboration with the high school student council members to put together a bit of a survey just to see how everything's going now that we're halfway through the school year, just what they're liking, what they're not liking, and so we've pulled all the results and we're going to have a presentation for you at the next meeting on the 26th.
I forgot one thing. You're talking about the Sojourner Truth Award. Also at SUNY Orange was the SOARS conference. So it's where a bunch of senior class members, they do research in their English classes and they can choose to present at this conference either via slideshow presentation, creative project, or a poster board session. That took place 2 Saturdays ago. It was a really great experience. I personally attended. There was Minisink students took up about half of the attendees, so it was a really, really great turnout this year. All of the presentations were really great and really comprehensive, and it was just it's a really great opportunity for high school students to get that like public speaking experience or to use their mediums to express the research that they put a lot of work into, which was also a really great thing that we offered. Sorry.
Thank you both. Sounds like amazing stuff, like always happening around here. Thank you both for that. We will now move on to the district events comment period. Would anybody like to go first? Go ahead.
I have a few that I went to. I attended the choral concert a few nights ago at the high school, and it incorporated choruses or ensembles from all the schools at the end. So that was really nice to see. I also I attended the 7 students who auditioned and were selected for ACDA's honors choirs in Rhode Island, which Heather mentioned. I went up and saw the students perform. That is a really wonderful experience that would not be available to the students if it were not for our great chorus teacher who makes these initiatives available and then sponsors them. Well, doesn't sponsor, but takes them up and chaperones them. So it's really it's great that our school does that. We provide that for the kids. I think I went to a band concert, but it was a while ago, and then I missed a meeting. So I'll stop there.
Anyone else?
So I went, a lot of stuff that I went to has already been talked about, but I was at the is just so exciting, so phenomenal. I went to Seussical in Otisville, and I loved it. I was so taken by the bubbles and the costumes. It was great. Really big cast too. So it was incredible to see all of that. I also went to Sojourner Truth, and that was really exciting to see all of our kids honored. You had 26 plus C-Tech. It's exciting just to kind of come on campus and start coming in live here with all the sports getting started. And my final one, Heather also talked about our graduation tricky tray. I got to help out and wrap some of the baskets, and I just heard that there's 188 baskets ready to go. And so our Board of Ed ones are there, and just all sorts of really cool things. It's awesome to see the community come together to support that goal.
I attended the science fair in Otisville, and I saw one of the scientists in the crowd here today. There was a lot of really great exhibits. First graders to fifth graders. I just get a kick out of, you're walking around and they're waiting for somebody to come and you ask them, so what's your experiment? And then they light up and they, like you were talking about public speaking earlier, these kids are first graders to fifth graders. Just explaining the problem they have and the solution and everything they did to get to the final experiment. They had the volcanoes. They had there was a popular one where they would put shaving cream in a cup with water, and then they'd put food dye on top, and it would have like it would be the clouds filling up, and then the food coloring would go down. It would show you the rain and the hydrologic cycle, I think they called it. But yeah, it's really it's neat to see all these kids. One girl was being judged while I was there, and she got her medal, and her face lit up. And really, I got one. So it was fun. The thing in the beginning when they have the guy come out presenting, the kids loved it, but he was really loud. I couldn't handle that. But going around to the little exhibits was great, and the PTO I think sponsors it. It's a great event.
Anyone else?
I have one. I went to the Minisink Elementary incoming kindergarten night. I was an honorary mother because it got delayed with snow, so my daughter had a conflict. Debbie Gallant and Elizabeth McBean did a wonderful job. It's an extremely heartwarming to me to come back into the school, bringing another child here. Going back to the auditorium I grew up in, and it was a very informative, but it wasn't overwhelming amount of information that came out. After that, everybody went down to the gymnasium and we went through, the student registration, Jeff's area, dietary, transportation, and then we had the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, and I know I'm missing, but you went around like a U of tables, which was great. And then after that, you could go down to meet the teachers and see the classrooms. So it's exciting. It gets a lot of information out there so parents know to make sure you register so then you can make your appointment for the kindergarten, not evaluation, what's the word I want? Screening. Thank you. All right, I'm done.
Anyone else? I'm just gonna go real quick. I attended quite a few things. The science fair at Otisville, we talked about that. Seussical at Otisville. The high school chorus concert here just the other night. The official opening of the cardio room and the weight room, which was an amazing experience. And also, I went up to Rhode Island as well for the All Easterns. Just on one last note, I want to congratulate Ms. Lewis, Vice Presidency, and I want to thank you all for electing me as the president. I'm looking forward to continuing working with this amazing Board of Education, this amazing administration staff, this amazing district clerk, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you all. Mr. Monahan, do you have any more business?
No further
For the
business
board.
before the board.
All right. Motion to enter an executive session to discuss the employment histories of particular persons matters made under exempt of federal law FERPA, and matter of negotiations with the MBTA. The board may take action after executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Patty Reynolds. Second, Ruth Lewis.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you everyone for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Get home safe and stay warm.